Li Wei walked through the overgrown path. He reached the old monastery. It stood silent and forgotten. The roof was crumbling and vines covered the walls. Li Wei loved old places. They whispered secrets of the past. He stepped inside, ready to listen. The air inside was cold and damp. Dust covered the floor. Li Wei walked carefully. He didn't want to disturb anything. He came to a room at the back. It was once a library. Now only a few scrolls remained on the shelves. Li Wei hoped to find something interesting. Li Wei scanned the dusty scrolls. Most were too decayed to read. Then, something caught his eye. A scroll lay hidden beneath a pile of rubble. It was bound in black silk. A silver dragon sigil gleamed on the cover. Li Wei felt a thrill of excitement. He had never seen a scroll like this before. Carefully, Li Wei brushed off the dust. He untied the silk ribbon. The scroll unfurled, revealing ancient calligraphy. Li Wei recognized the language of the dragon scholars, legendary figures from ancient times. They were said to possess great wisdom and power. Legends spoke of their ability to control the elements. Li Wei's heart pounded. Could this scroll hold their secrets? Li Wei rushed back to the village. He went straight to Master Zhen, the village elder. Master Zhen was known for his knowledge of the past. Li Wei showed him the scroll, his hands trembling with excitement. Master Zhen examined the scroll carefully. His face grew serious. "This is a powerful artifact," Master Zhen said, his voice low. "It contains the teachings of the dragon scholars. But be warned, Li Wei, this knowledge comes with a price. To unlock its secrets, you must face the 5 elemental trials. Many have tried and failed. Some have lost their way, consumed by the power they sought." Li Wei listened intently. He understood the risks, but his thirst for knowledge burned stronger than fear. Li Wei journeyed to Mount Kunlun, the legendary home of the fire serpent. The air grew hotter with each step. Flames danced on the mountain slopes. Li Wei could feel the heat scorching his skin. He knew the fire serpent guarded the first trial. He had to pass through the flames and retrieve a single scale from the serpent's tail. As he climbed, the ground trembled. A roar shook the mountain. The fire serpent emerged from a chasm, its scales glowing like molten gold. Li Wei stood his ground, his heart pounding. He closed his eyes and focused his mind. He remembered Master Jin's words. "The elements are not your enemy. They are a part of you. Find balance within yourself, and you will find balance with the world." Li Wei took a deep breath. He felt a surge of energy flow through him. He knew what he had to do. Section 5. The Trial of Water. Li Wei stood at the edge of the Crystal River, a place of both beauty and danger. The water was so clear, it seemed to vanish into the air, merging seamlessly with the sky above. But Li Wei knew better. He had heard the stories, the legends passed down through generations. The river was said to be home to powerful water spirits, guardians of the ancient waters. These spirits were known to lure unsuspecting travelers to their watery graves, their whispers as cold as the river itself. His task was to cross the river unharmed and retrieve a single pearl from the deepest point, a pearl said to hold immense power. He stepped into the water. It was icy cold, sending shivers up his spine. The current pulled at his legs, trying to drag him under. The force was stronger than he had anticipated. Then, he saw them. Water spirits, their forms shifting like ripples of light, danced around him, their presence both mesmerizing and terrifying. They circled him, their voices whispering, tempting him to let go, to surrender to the river's embrace. Li Wei remembered the lesson of the fire serpent, a lesson in control and focus taught by his master. He closed his eyes and focused his mind, shutting out the whispers and the cold. He visualized the flow of water, its power and grace, understanding that to conquer it, he must become one with it. He moved with the current, not against it, allowing the river to guide him rather than fight it. The water spirits, recognizing his harmony with the river, parted, allowing him safe passage to the pearl's resting place. With a deep breath, Li Wei reached the riverbed and grasped the glowing pearl, feeling its warmth against the cold water. Emerging from the river, he held the pearl high, a symbol of his triumph over the trial of water. The river returned to its serene state, the water spirits fading away, leaving Li Wei with a sense of peace and accomplishment. Section 6. Trials of Earth and Metal. This chapter delves into the ancient and mystical challenges faced by Li Wei, a seeker of wisdom and strength. Li Wei arrived at the Valley of Whispers, a place shrouded in mystery and legend. The air was thick with fog, and the whispers of the ancients seemed to echo through the mist. Towering stone statues, known as the Stone Guardians, stood guard at the entrance of the valley. These colossal figures were said to have been carved by the hands of forgotten artisans. They held riddles carved into their chests, each inscription a test of intellect and insight. The riddles were ancient, passed down through generations, and only the wisest could decipher them. Li Wei had to solve the riddles to pass the trial of Earth. Each riddle was a puzzle that required deep contemplation and a profound understanding of the world. The riddles tested his knowledge of history, philosophy, and the natural world. They were designed to challenge his mind and spirit, pushing him to his limits. Li Wei spent days pondering the riddles, his mind racing through the annals of history and the teachings of ancient philosophers. He knew that only through patience and perseverance could he find the answers. He meditated, seeking clarity and wisdom. The serene surroundings of the valley provided the perfect backdrop for his introspection. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, he deciphered the answers. A sense of triumph washed over him as he realized he had passed the trial of Earth. The Stone Guardians rumbled and moved aside, revealing a hidden path into the mountain. The ground shook as the ancient mechanisms came to life. Inside the mountain lay the trial of metal, a challenge that would test his physical strength and resilience. Li Wei found a forge and a pile of cursed ore. The forge was ancient, its bellows and anvil worn from centuries of use. The ore pulsed with a strange energy, its glow casting eerie shadows on the walls of the cavern. It was said to be imbued with the essence of the earth itself. It resisted all attempts to be shaped, defying the efforts of even the most skilled blacksmiths. Li Wei knew that this trial would require more than just physical strength. Li Wei had to forge a key from the ore to unlock the final trial. This key was not just a physical object, but a symbol of his mastery over the elements. He remembered the lessons of the previous trials, each one a stepping stone that had prepared him for this moment. The wisdom he had gained was now his greatest tool. He focused his mind, channeling his inner strength and determination. Every strike of the hammer was a testament to his willpower and resolve. He worked tirelessly, sweat dripping from his brow. The heat of the forge was intense, but Li Wei's determination burned even hotter. Finally, after hours of relentless effort, he forged a key, its surface gleaming with an otherworldly light. This key was the culmination of his trials, a beacon of his hard-earned wisdom and strength. Section 7. The Trial of Wood. The key unlocked a hidden door in the mountainside. It led to the Forest of Echoes. The trees here were ancient and gnarled, their branches intertwined, forming a dense canopy that blocked out the sun. The air was thick with the scent of decay and the sound of whispers. Li Wei's task was to find his way through the forest and reach the hidden temple at its heart. He stepped carefully, his senses on high alert. The forest was disorienting. Sounds seemed to come from all directions. Shadows danced at the edge of his vision. He remembered the lessons of the previous trials. He focused on his breath, his connection to the earth, his inner compass. He listened to the whispers, not with fear, but with respect. He moved through the forest, not as an intruder, but as a guest. Section 8. The Dragon's Wisdom. Li Wei finally reached the hidden temple after a long and arduous journey through dense forests and treacherous paths. It stood in a clearing, bathed in a golden light that seemed almost otherworldly, as if the heavens themselves were illuminating this sacred place. In the center of the temple, a magnificent dragon lay curled in slumber, its presence both awe-inspiring and humbling. Its scales shimmered like 1,000 jewels, each one reflecting the light in a dazzling array of colors, creating a mesmerizing spectacle. This was the Dragon Guardian, the keeper of the Dragon Scholar's secrets, a being of immense wisdom and power. Li Wei had passed the trials, each one testing his strength, courage, and intellect. But his final test remained. He had to approach the dragon and prove himself worthy of its wisdom, a task that required not just bravery, but a pure heart and a clear mind. He bowed low, his heart filled with awe and respect, knowing that this moment could change his life forever. He spoke of his journey, recounting the challenges he had faced, the fears he had overcome, and the lessons he had learned along the way. The wisdom he sought was not just for himself, but for his people, to bring peace and prosperity to his land. The dragon opened its eyes, its gaze piercing Li Wei's soul, as if it could see every thought, every intention, every truth within him. Li Wei felt a surge of power, but it did not frighten him. Instead, it filled him with a sense of purpose and clarity. He understood now that true power lay not in domination, but in balance, in harmony with oneself and the world. The dragon nodded, satisfied, recognizing the purity of Li Wei's heart and the nobility of his quest. It shared a fraction of its power with Li Wei, granting him knowledge and understanding beyond his wildest dreams. This newfound wisdom would guide him, helping him to lead his people with compassion and justice, ensuring that the legacy of the dragon scholars would live on through him. Section 9. Return to the village. Li Wei returned to his village a changed man. He carried the wisdom of the dragon scholars in his heart. He used his knowledge to teach and to heal. He helped his people live in balance with nature. He taught them to respect the elements, not as forces to be feared, but as sources of life and energy. Li Wei never forgot the lessons of his journey. He knew that true power came with great responsibility. He used his gifts wisely, always striving to maintain the delicate balance between knowledge and power, for the good of all. And so, the legacy of the dragon scholars lived on, passed down through generations, a beacon of hope and wisdom in a changing world.